Hello everyone, here is Adam Harbat, PGA Man, and
Adrian Fritz. So we have today a very special guest. This is one of the creators of Doom, Wolfenstein. So this is Johnem Romero.
Hey, how's it going?
So John, we have a few questions to you, but I think the first one could be a little off the topic. How are you today?
Doing great. Yeah, it's really cool. Good weather outside. Lots of people here. Not too crowded, which is pretty cool. But everyone's very excited. Some really good games.
Yeah, now it's a little more space to accommodate.
It's a good place. It's a good place to have
Yeah.
a conference. Yeah.
So maybe I'll start with a first question. So I want to ask you about this convention, this event. You were on the biggest events of gaming like QuakeCon or E3, and how do you see Poznań Game Arena now, and how do you think it compares with those big events?
Well, pretty well. I mean, it's not E3 size, it's not GDC size because that's all in the US and insane. But for over here, it's bigger than Digital Dragons, you know, which I really like that conference a lot. This conference, you know, there's a lot of different, I guess, different conferences going on in this area right now, right? There's several of them, which is pretty cool to have them all going on at the same time. And you see little kids all over the place. They love playing games. There's lots of game stuff going on around. It's like a giant game day or game week. I don't know if you call it game week here, but so far I think it's cool. I'm glad that it's it's a nice big event and it shows that there's a real strong gaming culture here, in Poznań, I guess.
Do you think that Poznań Game Arena can reach such events, such worldwide events like we said, E3, Gamescom? Do you think that we have a really good chance to to be on the top?
So far so good. This is a good location. There's a lot of buildings around here that you can have massive amounts of people. I don't know if it can handle 500,000 like Gamescom can, but there's a lot of people that can come to this location, so that's good. Yet the capacity is here for something pretty huge, which means it's on it's on the order of some of the biggest conferences in the world. Like the Milan Games Week and stuff like that.
You've been also organizing those first events, first conferences, and here's the question: how big is difference, in your opinion, between those first events, those little ones, and the biggest ones like here?
Well, the small events, I've been to some really small events that are as big as this room right here. And it's really fun to go to all of them, but when you start getting bigger and you start involving the people who are coming in the event itself, like bring your own computer, so you have a ton of people playing games, and you have competitions where people are playing, deathmatch against each other or whatever, it gets to be even cooler. It's like it changes the feel of the event, and it makes, I guess it just makes it pretty amazing, for people to come and feel like they're not just going to go somewhere to see stuff, but they're going to go somewhere and play as well. I like it.
So maybe, Adrian, maybe you will ask something.
So you're the creator of iconic Doom. I have a question as a gamer, and it's about second Doom. You're the final boss in Doom 2. Right. So this is a random Easter egg, or you want to be the badass in this game?
That was the artist did that, and so the artist changed a blue sprite that was hidden back there. They changed it into my head just a couple days before we released the game, thinking that I wouldn't find it. And I was programming the sound effects for that boss head, and I saw that they had done that. They put my head on a stake back there, and I knew immediately that they were going to say, "Oh yeah, when the game comes out, everyone else is going to find out about it," and then then it's like, "Oh, the joke's on me. I'm actually the head back there." So I thought I would make an Easter egg that showed that I knew about the Easter egg, which is why I then separately said, to win the game you must kill me, Johnem Romero, since that's what they turned that sprite into, was me. If it was a deer, to win the game you have to kill a deer, right? Except that they put my head there, so I had to say, to win the game you must kill me, Johnem Romero, and I reversed it and pitch shifted it down and put it in there so it sounded like an evil, like the icon of sin is speaking to you, and so it's like it works, it sounds cool, and it goes with the game, and I put that in there, and the very next day at work, American McGee comes in, and everyone's playing everything to test the game and get it finished. And he saw that, he listened to that, and he immediately goes, "Ooh, pitch shifted reverse thing. Let me turn it." He just reversed it and played it and told everybody. And so the two secrets were out immediately as soon as they happened, and we left them in because they're funny. We left both of those Easter eggs in there. One of them's just referencing the other one.
So, in times when you create first Doom games, what problems ID Software have when these games were making?
The biggest problem with Doom was trying to figure out what the levels should look like, what should the world look like, because before Doom there wasn't, the way that the architecture of Doom's world is so far ahead of anything before it, which was Wolfenstein, right? And Wolfenstein's world was a very simple 2D tile, basically a tile game, almost like that. Just like when you saw it in the world, it looked 3D, but the way we drew it was just 2D walls and very, very simple. And we did that for years. So when we finally did Doom, everything was different about that engine, and it was hard to get ourselves out of the Wolfenstein design space that we were in for basically 1992. And so it was hard to come up with the idea of creating these abstract level designs that didn't actually recreate a real location. Like, we're on Phobos, and here is the place where X happens, the computer station or whatever for the base. Okay, let's make computer stations and look at military books and stuff like that. That wasn't actually fun. We actually started making stuff looking just like military stuff, and it was super boring. It didn't flow, lots of garbage, and it was just like, this needs to be stuff that's not real. People will know that they're in a base, but what the base is has to be crazy. It has to be fun, abstract, and just feel good and look good. And so that decision and the creation of that abstract level design style, that took, it was like a few hours in one day where I went, I have to solve this problem. This is stopping us from actually making the rest of the game, because we don't know. The game is all these levels, but we don't have any that are worth anything because they're all crappy. So when I came up with that, it was, I basically showed everyone, and they're all, oh my god, that's exactly what we have to do. So then it was just like all the levels came out of that, and then those style of levels went into Doom 2, even Dark Forces, has stuff like that, and Quake and Heretic Hexen, and pretty much all Duke Nukem. All these games understood that the abstract style actually works really well, and being realistic wasn't helping make the game better.
So I have a question about what you said. So with those problems, the best way to solve them is to just improvise, or it works like that. You talk about the problem. It takes you much more time, but finally you solve it, or you do it like a one-man army. You do everything that comes to your mind in this situation.
Sometimes you have to do that. It depends on what the problem is. Sometimes, it's really important to think a lot about something. If it's a big change, if it's something that's not going to be based on what you're looking at, if it's completely different, you can't really use what you have in front of you. You have to sit and think and figure out where it belongs and how it connects to the rest of the game, and then figure out and remember everything that everyone else has done, and has someone else done something similar that has worked really, really well? Can you adopt and adapt that idea to your game and in your own style, and obviously put some twists on it, but something that's been just played by millions of players, it's proven to work, in other games or an other game, and then just kind of transplant the idea and do that in your game. Because one thing that people do, they look at a game and they like the way a game plays and everything. They don't think about the fact that that company has spent so much money QAing that system and the way it works, and especially if it's a service game like WoW, where it's been in existence for 13 years now. People have played this so many times and that system works so well. Like, the amount of money poured into that QA and from players and stuff, that's super valuable to pay attention to versus just throw it away because some other game did it. It's like, no, that's probably the solution that you're looking for, and you need to figure out how to adapt it to your game, but you're saving yourself a lot of problems and time and money and everything. So that's one way of doing it, and the other way is just like coming up with something that no one's seen before.
So I have a next question. I think it will, take the point. So, what was the most abstract idea that you put to the game?
Which game? Which one?
Which one? So we talked about Doom. So maybe Doom.
Abstract, Teleportation was kind of abstract. Everything else was pretty solid. You're hitting walls, you know. Secrets make sense through their doors. Jumping into slime puddles, that's not too abstract. That's kind of obvious. But teleportation was kind of something that was interesting because some people could get confused when they teleport and they don't understand the level anymore because now they're somewhere like where you're at now doesn't relate to where you were at before, and so that's like a disconnect for people. But they're starting to have to build the map in their heads a little bit differently. Now this is a map and this is a map, and they're connected to each other. So it's interesting throwing that in there. Throwing that in. That's probably the most abstract thing because everything else was pretty understandable by the player. There wasn't anything crazy or really weird. Everything made sense.
Yeah, those teleportations make much more possibilities with playing with the convention of game. But now I have, of course, next question. We've talked about the past, so let's talk about future. What are your plans for future?
Well, I keep on making games. Making a really big game right now. We also make multiple games at the same time. So we have one game that just takes years to make. At the same time, we have other games that we will do game jams and we'll do other small stuff. Just to have experience constantly making games and trying out ideas and stuff. Because sometimes those little ideas can turn into a really big game. And if you don't explore small things like that, then you're taking huge risks on a really big game if you've never tried that out somewhere. So we do that a lot. We work on games in our office. The people that work there are encouraged to make other games. You own them, make them. I'll work on them with you or whatever, but and publish them and do all that stuff. But get used to making and getting games shipped and shipping games, because this game is going to ship. The one that we're making that's going to take a long time. It's going to ship, and it'd be nice if you shipped several things before this one ships. So it's great for practice, and people love being able to come up with their own ideas, because basically when they're working on a big multi-year game, that idea is from one designer's mind. It's vetted by publishers. Everybody's got a lot of stake in it, and it's been gone through many different ways, and so it's kind of solidified and it can't really move around. And that's what everybody's creating, is this thing that, let's say, a programmer, he didn't come up with that idea, but he has ideas, and he wants to make them, and the way to keep people, creatively fulfilled is let them do that stuff. So our programmers will design games and make them, and we'll help them and all that stuff. So it's cool to have an environment like that.
It sounds like those big projects gives a lot of space to everyone in a team just to add something of his own, some ideas, some really creative elements. So yeah, it's quite right. It's quite interesting even, because now the game is not only from one people's mind and little edited. It's a fully edited concept.
Yeah, well, it is at the very beginning. It's something that we have a design team that basically the lead design team works on this stuff, and the publisher does a publishing deal with us, because they want our ideas. They want us to make a game. It's not for them to tell us what they want us to do. It's for them to have us create something for them that came from our minds. So we have a design team, and what the design team designs, the programmers and artists make that stuff, right? Within what their jobs are, they have tons of creativity, right? Programming is massively creative, and it's already enough work being creative as a programmer to just implement someone else's already designed stuff. Like, there's already so much to do in programming. To have the burden of creating a game design on top of programming it is a whole lot of work. So yeah, we have a design team on the really big projects, but then when it's small, somebody is designing, and sometimes if it's a 2 or 3 person team, it might be someone kind of owns the game because it's their idea or whatever, and then people are pitching in and kind of giving ideas, and they may or may not take them. So we have the idea. It's important to have the idea of like ownership. Someone owns an idea, and it's up to them to say yes or no on any input that's coming in, and that's the way it goes. So I could be working on someone else's game, and I can tell them stuff I think that they should do, and they don't have to do it. It's their game, it's their idea. Like, that's what they want to do.
So last question. You want to say something to your fans, to the camera?
Hey everybody, thanks for playing my games, and check out the new one. It's called Gunman Taco Truck, and it came out last January, and it's on iOS and Android, and it's on Steam, and it is 4 games in one. It's really crazy, and it's very bloody, and it's hilarious.
So John, thank you for interview. This is great to be here.
It was a really great experience,
Yes.
to talk to such big person in this.